Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Bowl TV as match play continues at the 2019 USBC Senior Masters taking place at Samstown in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Aaron Smith, sitting alongside the one and only Matt Cannizzaro. And we are starting today with 32 of the top players age 50 and older. And by the end of the day, we're going to say goodbye to 27 of them. Get down to the top 5 for Sunday's stepladder finals right here at Samstown and on BowlTV.com. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. local time for that championship round. 16 players in the winner's bracket, 16 in the elimination bracket. We're lucky enough to have a pair of winner's bracket matches to kick things off and talk about some great matchups here. PBA Hall of Famer Mark Williams taking on the 2015 Senior Masters champion, who also happens to be a Hall of Famer in about 6 different divisions and probably countries as well, and Leto Monticelli. And then over on 21 and 22, the runner-up at the 2018 Senior Masters, also a PBA and USBC Hall of Famer, Mr. Norm Duke, taking on Mark Mazzula. We have 2 additional channels going with featured matches. Over on Senior Masters 15 through 18, you will find Blaine Weninger taking on Doug Kent. That's also in the winner's bracket. And over on 25 and 26, we have Tony Johnson taking on Gary Faulkner. Another set of winners bracket matches for you Saturday morning in Las Vegas. Once again, we're on the 40-foot condition we've seen all week. 31.185 mils using the Kegel ice oil. Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider for USBC short duration events, and also a gold industry partner with the USBC along with Brunswick, Columbia 300, Ebonite, Hammer, Rotogrip, and Storm. Thank you to all of those great companies for their continued support. As we settle into this 3-game total pinfall match to determine who's moving 1 round closer to securing a spot in the stepladder finals. Let me introduce my broadcast partner, Matt Cannizzaro.
Hello, Aaron Smith.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to stop by and offer some limited insight and production value.
When you say it that way, it sounds less exciting.
Well, you know, I'll always do my best.
I did all this lead up for you, and that's how you.
I was playing the modesty card for sure.
Fair enough.
You know. I mean, I certainly haven't been hanging around all these years for my good looks, so.
I wasn't going to mention anything about that, but that's also a fair point.
I mean, remember when I started this, many of these guys weren't seniors.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
And now this young man stepping up on lane 19, he's a super senior already, bowling the Super Senior Classic, having success here at Samstown, and now trying to make something happen. He's been close in recent years. Mark Mazzula has been kind of in the running as well. So potentially see some breakthrough performers here in 2019, or again, some great storylines. Redemption on the line for Norm Duke after last year right here on these featured pairs, Bowl TV. Had an opportunity to win the Senior Masters and came up short in a very emotional interview afterwards, talked about that moment, threw the best shot he could, and 4 counted to cost him the title. Of course, Chris Warren bowled incredibly well, but having not talked to Norm yet this week, crazy break there for Missoula. We saw Norm lead the single pin there as well. The carry on 21 and 22 today, non-existent so far. But Aaron, I don't know if you guys caught up with Norm at all, or if he even had any interest in talking about last year. No doubt it's in the past. Nothing he could do to change it. As he said, he threw the best shot in that moment that he could, and the results were what they were. And I'm sure he's focused, and no doubt it will come up, just like all of the years we spent talking about the bucket crumble from Walter Ray, and eventually he said, enough, let's move on. It's done. I earned that title, and then he earned another, and now he still here is in the field as well, looking to become the first 3-time winner here at the Senior Masters. So, as you said, a lot of great players, and so a lot of potential, and then potential for the next breakout star.
Mentioned Walter Ray. He is still in contention in the elimination bracket. He ran into the buzzsaw known as Blaine Wenninger in an 820 to 729 victory for Blaine. Not much Walter Ray could do. He actually came by the live stream booth and joked about it as we're having one of those matches here where you see a game like that where Walter Ray shoots 729 and loses. And over here we had Ron Moore shooting 550 and winning, which is part of the event because you only have to beat the one person. You don't necessarily have to worry about anything else going on at that point. But Walter Ray walked by the live stream booth after that loss and stopped for a second. He kind of looked at the score because they were still finishing up and looked over there. He's like, these guys are going to need one more game to get to my score, which was incredibly hilarious at the moment because it just was.
Well, I believe in our final round yesterday, there was a 511 to 491 match in the elimination bracket. So again, it's you and your opponent on that pair of lanes. And it's possible there were not too many, maybe just a couple scores higher than 729. And again, in talking with Blaine Wenninger after that victory, in that case it was on a burn squad. So not every round is bowled on the fresh here in the match play. So they followed 2 gentlemen who just broke the lanes down in a way that made them very scoreable. They knew that going in. They knew it was going to be a high-scoring match. They saw that Mike Edwards and Peter Knopp had played to the outside part of the lane, used some surface, meaning they're going to break down that oil pattern outside, and potentially the right-handers can move left, and they would have missed room to the right. They'd have hook to the right. They could bank it off of that. They had options, and they knew it probably would be high scoring, and they were right. It was just a matter of who was going to get the carry at that point. And then other pairs, depending on who you follow, or if it's fresh and you don't handle the fresh well, many variables. But the important thing is, again, what's happening around you is completely irrelevant to pinfall, other opponents, bonus pins, nothing on the line. It's a clean slate when you get to your pair of lanes, and whether you shoot 820 or 520, as long as you beat the other guy by 1 pin, that's all that matters, and you shouldn't worry about scores or average, or it's all completely irrelevant. And I think people spend a lot of time focusing on unnecessary things like that.
Well, Walter Ray didn't take too long to worry about that because he had one more match to go through and proceeded to shoot 763 in the next match against Stephen Jeeves, which included a 299 game. So it was quickly forgot. Got to move on to the next one, and that's definitely the mantra to continue well. You see it a lot in this event where sometimes, especially when the rounds kind of come quickly one after another, when someone catches that first loss and has to kind of regroup and get to the elimination bracket, there's a lot of times where you see someone who goes 2-0, 3-0, and then it's a quick out after that. And it seems like the one loss can kind of really deflate you because, I mean, obviously you want to stay in the winner's bracket as long as you can, but Walter Ray, a two-time Masters and Senior Masters champion, the only person on this globe who can claim that. Was able to have a little more fun with it, kind of joke around and go from there, and proceed to shoot 760 his next match and average 250 and change. So Walter Ray taking on Noel Vasquez around 45 and 46 in this next round. You can follow live scoring and more, bowl.com/seniormasters, or if you're in the chat, we have a few panels up at the top. If you go to the tournament information one, you can click on that, and that will take you to the page where all the good stuff's at.
Well, now after so many games this week, 15 games of qualifying over 3 days, and then a handful of matches yesterday, there's no doubt that gentlemen of this caliber have a handle on this oil pattern and have worked through all of the equipment scenarios possible to find the best look they can, and I'm sure their command is right up there. And then again, the other variables will come when we're not on the fresh. Just a matter of who was on that pair before and trying to figure out and make those adjustments. And we're down to 32 of the best in the world, so I'm fairly confident that we'll see some great scores, and if they have to grind, they'll grind. They'll make it happen.
Right now, that is what Norm Duke is doing. Nothing but 9 counts, but all spares so far, trying to figure out what has proven to be an occasionally tricky pair in 21 and 22. But I agree with your point there, Matt. These competitors very familiar with this condition, and we're still even seeing different ways to attack it. Amleto using that heavy hand of his to actually open up the pattern a little bit. Whereas Mark Williams, Norm, and Mark Missoula are attacking it much more direct, but obviously Amleto has found the sweet spot as he is connected on 7 of 8 strikes.
Well, Aaron, I also think strategically you have to look big picture too, and we see this at events like the Open Championships where you're thinking, what can I do to make this the most favorable condition for me or for us as a group, as a team, as a pair. Strategically, potentially for Norm Duke, playing a certain part of the lane, thinking, that he has the versatility. He can play out, he can play in, he can do everything. So perhaps grinding early in a certain part of the lane will allow him then to make the move left, perhaps, to where he can get a different shape, similar to Amleto. Whereas maybe he's thinking his opponent doesn't necessarily have that type of versatility. So no doubt Norm's thinking game 3, what can I do to stay close now and get all I can, and then potentially have a bit of an advantage later on, because it is a 3-game match, so it's a lot of time spent on this pair of lanes, and a lot can happen just based on how you play them.
Norm right now chatting with Del Ballard Jr. right in front of us. But one of the things we saw in qualifying, which day was it? It was day 3, which was on the fresh for Norm. Was his day to draw that variation as bowlers bowled on the fresh burn and double burn throughout the course of their 15 games of qualifying. was that he came to this pair basically making his way towards the lead, and he was playing pretty direct, and he made a big zone jump on this particular pair. So I'm sure, you know, even though the pattern is a little more pristine right now than it was at that moment, that could be something that, as you mentioned, Norm has already logged in his, mental notes that this pair, later in the day didn't have that great of a look, had to jump in, had to get softer, get more around it, and because he threw the back 6-7 to shoot 240 that game after he said nothing too crazy to start. So having that knowledge in the back pocket, they certainly come around. But Mark Missoula finished his qualifying on this pair in a different phase of the pattern, and was basically running 290 up until the 10th frame. So Missoula's had some success on 21 and 22. Norm has as well.
It looks like both of those players pretty far right again with some surface. Norm, at least on the right lane, appears has already gone to a weaker ball and perhaps a little less surface. As we saw in his last shot there, a couple of the balls pretty easy to distinguish, at least maybe not exactly what they are, but that they're different from each other color-wise. And this is a completely different ball now on the left lane than what he just threw on the right lane. So he's working that equipment pretty well, still staying in about the same general area. But I think as they break it down, again, they'll be able to move left and have a little bit of room, or stay in that area and have just a little different equipment choice. But Norm putting up about as perfect a game as you can without throwing a strike, which is it's actually pretty neat to look at. And Missoula putting together 4 consecutive strikes to pull ahead, but through the first 5 frames, they're about even, and Norm just staying clean, and looks like he's going to the paddock or to another bag somewhere, and a lot of thinking happening here. And Leto finishing with 249. Williams, that ball just hooking early for him. So I would imagine that there might be a ball change coming for him. Maybe just a little too early, a little too much for him. And we'll know here pretty quickly as he finishes with 214. So he's down 35 going into game number 2.
And one of the things we saw, because we caught Mark on 21 and 22 on the fresh yesterday in the first round, taking on Chris Warren, and I don't remember him using that particular bowling ball. He ended up making a few ball changes throughout the course of that match on the way to eventually a tie with Chris, and winning in a roll-off, which took two shots, if you will. But miscue there for Missoula. And Norm without a strike, only down 10 pins. Question from Thomas in the chat about what ball Leto is throwing, and even our 720 real life resolution, it's kind of tough to tell. It actually looks like a radical ball from here.
Leto recently returned to the Brunswick world from a stint with Ebonite International. Brunswick guy is able to throw Brunswick radical deviate.
If I had to guess, I think it's a conspiracy. But looking at their current bowling ball list.
Pete McCormick not messing around today, Aaron, starting with 279. However, he's only up by 21 pins.
It's a good old-fashioned Texas showdown right there.
It is a very highly talked about match coming in. Two top players from the Lone Star State, Rick Minier and Pete McCordick. A lot of history there from the Houston area, and they were not disappointing. They're down on 7 and 8. Here's Duke stepping up on 22. Again, clean through 8, all 9 spares. Missoula with the mental mistake. Duke with the ball change on the right lane. Delivers his first strike here in game 1, taking advantage now. Playing the crowd a little bit. Again, he's down just 10 pins.
That string of strikes short-lived.
Good run, Norm. But now we don't get to take a picture of his all 9 spare game. Norm working on a no-tap 300. And Leto still in command here. Mark Williams gonna have to do something. Already down 35 before this game started.
I think Mark may try to jump into where Amleto is attacking the lanes.
Well, Mark certainly relatively versatile. He's more of a slow hook finesse kind of guy, but I think it's time to try something. It looks like he's staying in the same spot, but going to something shiny to get down the lane a little bit, and it paid off. So again, I'm sure there's strategy involved here early, thinking that they have to spend 3 games on this pair. So let's make him as scoreable as possible.
Here's Missoula in the 10th.
And now his last couple shots, kind of laboring down the lane a little bit.
There's a double from Williams.
Missoula, tough spare here, and even spare strike, they'll have just a 6-pin lead. And his effort included 4 consecutive strikes.
Taking a look at some other matches going on. 234 to 196. Advantage Ron Moore over Eugene McCune, and with the open and with just 1 strike, Norm Duke is going to be leading after 1. 232 to 229. Doug Kent ahead of Blaine Wenninger over on 15 and 16. $199 to $195 after 1. Gary Faulkner ahead of Tony Johnson.
Again, folks, 32 players remaining out of 300 here at the Senior Masters, the Samstown Bowling Center in Las Vegas. After this round, we'll say goodbye to 8 players. Match play will continue throughout the day until just 5 remain.
Pretty much all tied up after one. Michael Clausen and Stoney Baker. And uh-oh, what happened here? Appears Mike Edwards may have dropped out.
Well, let's find out.
He was in the winner's bracket, taking on Rolando Sebelin. And we see a 140 in the in there at some point. Saw Mike earlier today. He was walking around just fine. Didn't look like that might be an issue. But that could be, wow, 2012 champ. Appears to have, fortunately, bowed out. Lenny Borsch, front 5. After 236 in the opener, he was ahead of Tom Adcock, who was at 222 after 1. Bob Rosenau ahead of Doug Kempt, 217 to 162. Parker Bone in the third ahead of Joe Goldstein. Ricky Schisler with a slight advantage over Ryan Schaefer after 1. Walter Ray Williams Jr., 248 in the opener. He had built about a 50-pin lead over Noel Vasquez and now has the front 5 over on the high end of the house. .148 in game 1 for Steve Smith. He finds himself down about 50 pins to Don Harrington. Torrey Torgerson ahead of Ray Vervink after 1. Eugene McCune now with the front 6 against Ron Moore. Moore unable to double. So far here in game number 2, but looking for that opportunity in the 6th frame. But cannot get it. There's 2 strikes so far for Norm Duke here in this 3-game total pinfall match, but is ahead. Similar to what we saw with Eugene McCune on this pair yesterday. When going with a more aggressive bowling ball and opening up the lane, the hold goes away. There's almost nothing to get away with if you get the ball left off your hand, and Gene left a few things just as exciting to throw at as Amleto has here in frame 7. It's going to give away a handful of pins and count. And is going to get just 3 of them there, so an opportunity for Mark Williams. To go to town here, put up some strikes, get right back in this match. Was down 35 entering. And 9-pin's not going to get away there for Missoula. This has been a great ball change so far for Williams. And he makes it 5 in a row. Lenny Borsch had started with the front 8 before a split popped up in the 9th frame, but he's taking the advantage against Tom Adcock. Joe Goldstein with front 5 here in game 2. I think the only string of strikes at the moment belongs to Doug Kent. And a tight matchup against Blaine Wenninger over on 15 and 16. Matt Cannizzaro has returned.
I have returned. Want to check in on the Mike Edwards situation. And unfortunately, just simply not feeling well enough to bowl this match. So he will take the forfeit. And Sebelin will get the free pass to the final 8 in the winner's bracket. Edwards will go to the elimination bracket, and should he be okay for the next round, he will get back on the lanes. Otherwise, whoever his opponent would end up being also would get a free pass at that point, but or 3 games of practice, however you want to look at it.
They would have to bowl that match, whoever it would be, and that's actually going to be the winner of the Steve Smith-Don Harrington match. Let's see. If my association with letters and numbers is correct here.
Always unfortunate to see something like that have to happen, but at the end of the day, it's just bowling, right? So health first. Mike's got now a little while, hour or so to shake it off and get back out there, or his 2019 Senior Masters will come to an end. Still be a nice payday, but obviously not what he would have been hoping for. With a couple more wins, would have been in position for making tomorrow's TV show.
Yeah, Mike had been near the top of the standings throughout the week in qualifying, and had looked like he was going to be pretty tough throughout the course of this. Once he got to match play, obviously winning 2 matches yesterday, so hopefully a quick recovery and chance to come back for the next round. It does. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. No re-oil or anything, so we're going to go back on the fresh. And did I say we were going to come back on the fresh?
You did.
Oh, I did?
I gave
Whoops.
you the eyebrow. But
okay, all right. But we're going to come back on the burn. It's going to be one of those where we're going to take like a 20-minute break before we get back into warm-up for the next round. So it's going to be a pretty short turnaround, so we'll leave the cameras on once we finish up this ongoing round to move on to the next one. But yes, speedy recovery for Mike Edwards. Missoula gets the kick.
Shaking his head, trying to figure out what's going on and why that 10-pin didn't want to be more cooperative. So he'll think through that one. Williams with the 7-pin. Williams can get to 234, and Leto can get to 235. Add a stick to his big lead after game 1.
The crowd was going wild for Doug Kent, who had the front 8 before leaving the 2-4 A10, and Dougie Fresh did fresh things, converting it, and that is a huge conversion too, as Doug can shoot 276, his opponent Blaine Wenninger 277, and that was just a 3-pin match heading into game 2, so that one's going to be Blaine Wenninger having another strike fest. This time just with a different opponent who also happens to have a pair of USBC Masters titles. And a second missed 10-pin of the match for Missoula. And his third missed makeable spare here through 2 games. Norm still has not doubled.
But he has filled frames, he is clean, and that is the important thing. Make your spares. You of course don't want to bank on your opponent making a mistake, but you can only do the things you can control. And for Norm, that has been put a strike or a spare in every frame so far through a game and a half. Now he delivers his first double. He is in control. And Leto now with 3 in a row. Mark Williams unable to gain any ground.
And Leto taking a moment here for a re-rack. Duke did connect for that double. He said, wow, that was so much fun. Let's do it one more time. 3-bagger and has opened up his advantage in this match with just 6 pins heading into game 2. He's going to tighten up that arm swing of Missoula here real quick.
Missoula, his own worst enemy so far in this match. Norm not doing anything special. Mark getting in his own way a couple times, and you're right, there's going to be some squeeze factor.
That was a great bounce back there. And Doug Kent finished with 275 over there, and Blaine got the first strike in the 10th, so that one is going to be Doug Kent's at 507 and could have a 1-pin lead. .484, 448. Score on 19 and 20, advantage and Leto. And 1-pin match, 15 and 16. It's a doozy, folks. 507 to 506. 1 game left to go. Doug Kent up by a pin over Blaine Wenninger to stay in the winner's bracket. Ron Moore up 20 pins on Eugene McCune, 474 to 454. Looks like Pete McCordick up 501 to 493 on Rick Minier, so strikes aplenty on the low end of the house. On the high end, John De Benedetta in great position to eliminate Gary Morgan after 2. Up by about 120.
Wowza.
130 actually. Walter Ray is going to be up right around 50 pins against Noel Vasquez. Big 256 from Joe Goldstein will put him into the lead heading into the final game against Parker Bone III. Best Parker can get to is 417 with a spare and strike in the 10th. Lenny Borsch making the turn at 501. He's got a sizable lead against Tom Adcock.
Some momentum coming for Norm Duke now. The 4-bagger. Shoot 260 this game.
Tony Johnson up 100 pins on Gary Faulkner, 451 to 351. Faulkner had been dominant throughout the course of this event and had finished up last night with 770, I think. 778 in his victory over Rick Menele at 692 on the fresh against Steve Smith. So the first real signs of trouble for Faulkner.
Little animation out of Duke after he tossed his 5th consecutive strike. Based on what you just said, next round we'd be looking potentially at a Tony Johnson Norm Duke matchup, as we'll get down to our final 8 players in the winner's bracket. But we're still a game and a frame away from knowing that for sure. Again, we're saying goodbye to 8 players here. We'll have 24 left after this round. These are our winners bracket matches here in our featured pairs, so the non-winners still will have a chance at the 2019 Senior Masters. They'll work their way through the elimination bracket, and at the end of the day, we will have 4 players left in the elimination bracket. They'll have a shootout round, and 3 of those players will advance to the stepladder finals in the 3, 4, and 5 seeds. Of course, the final 2 players in the winner's bracket will bowl this afternoon, with the winner taking the number 1 seed for tomorrow.
Looks like a ball change coming up here for Mark Missoula. Gotta be thinking aggressive here because your opponent is lined up and having a 182-0 look is probably not going to do it against Norm Duke.
Duke was patient and got to where he needed to be. Missoula still staying about as far right as he can go, but again, that one looked like a little more surface. And same result, 7-pin uncooperative. And Mark Williams started in a similar route and then went to that shiny ball. Again, a little more length early and pop on the back, and he ended up with 234. Has a pretty good look right now, but finds himself down a bunch to Amleto. Amleto taking advantage early. Watch Much better shot there for Missoula. Finishes with 194. Looks like he found something usable there with the switch in the 10th. Norm Duke looking to take a big lead here after 2 games now with this string of strikes.
Another one for Norm. Doug Kent started off with the front 3 against Blaine Wenninger through 4 frames. Blaine has stayed clean, but has not been able to double. But as I say, that Doug Kent 7-10s in frame number 4.
We go, Aaron.
That's my bad. My bad, Doug. Ron Morris started with the front 4 against Eugene McCune. Looks like Eugene in open in frame number 2 was down 20 to start that match, so the Rocket in big time trouble. Against Ron. Tony Johnson denying any type of comeback right now by Gary Faulkner. Appears to be 6 for 6 over on 25 and 6. Stoney Baker with the front 5 against Michael Clausen. He had held a 12-pin lead going into the match, and Clausen has slowed down a little bit here in the finale. Lenny Borsch on cruise control at the moment. It's Tom Adcock.
Just like that, Norm Duke up 61 on Missoula. Game 3 underway now.
Walter Ray holds a 58-pin lead over Noel Vasquez heading into halfway point of game 3. Johnny D gonna collect the victory against Gary Morgan, just a matter of final tally. And Missoula has dug his own path to the elimination bracket here with now his 4th missed makeable spare, including 3 singletons.
Norm Duke, Dr. Duke, based on the amount of patience he exhibited during the first 2 games of this match. Norm was the #1 seed for the stepladder finals last year and was defeated twice by Chris Warren.
On this particular pair of lanes too.
On this pair of lanes, and now Chris Warren, the senior masters and featherweight champion of the world. Norm Duke quietly and calmly trying to work his way back into the stepladder. Again, in this true double elimination format on Bowl TV, the top seed would be undefeated and would have to be beaten twice in the stepladder, as that's what happened last year.
And Norm, after Matt's terrible pun, was so upset at him, he decided to miss the spare.
After 21 clean frames, the miscue by Duke. We'll see if Missoula take advantage after his missed single pin in the first frame. And he does. And now crucial to double up here. Cut into Duke's 60-pin lead. He can get 10 back right now.
Pete McCordick has started to put some distance between he and Rick Minier, as in similar fashion to Norm in game one, Minier nothing but 9 spares, while McCordick, after starting with a spare, delivered 5 consecutive strikes.
McCordick with some free life and extra life yesterday against Brian Goebel. Goebel ran into some trouble. McCordick took advantage as well. Stepped up and struck on his fill ball to win by a single pin. Wasn't even sure of the score at the time. Of course, the goal is to knock down all the pins every time, and he did that one by one pin, and seems to have invigorated him a bit.
House money. So it looks like Tony Johnson will be moving on to the next round. As you said, it looks to be an inevitable matchup with Norm Duke over on 15 and 16.
Aaron, for some of these guys, the gentlemen they're going to meet along the way, whether it be Norm, Leto, Walter, as Blaine Winninger said yesterday, he went into that match with Walter Ray kind of expecting to get beaten pretty handily just based on Walter's career history, reputation, but I mean, obviously you don't come to these events expecting to lose, and I don't think he meant it 100% seriously, but when you go up against the best, chances are, if you're taking odds, especially here in Las Vegas, the odds probably are against you, and he used that to his advantage. Just went out there and bowled the best he could, and ended up shooting 820 with a 300 game, and you know, when you potentially don't expect it, it just makes it maybe a little bit easier mentally, and you know, for some guys, this is potentially almost like a pro-am at times, and to bowl against somebody you look up to. We saw some photos even yesterday, I believe, after a couple matches, and just, you know, just glad to have the opportunity and the experience and learn from it, and come back next year knowing that you can do it and that you proved it, and then maybe even more confident in the future.
Well, the way this match is going, I may ask Leto to take a photo because he's been that impressive here, playing a different part of the lane from everyone else on our featured pairs at the moment, taking advantage of the revolutions he can impart on a bowling ball and get to a different part of the lane.
So you pretty much just described the last 30 years of Leto's career as well. Being able to do crazy things that other people can't do, and you know, being able to open things up. And
I'm sure he would also be very good at opening up jars as well, being in great physical shape too.
And Leto, based on the fact that, well, math, he will move on, and he will take on Rolando Sebelin, who got the free pass with Mike Edwards falling ill here in our winners bracket match this morning. So, and that will take place right here on 21 and 22. Coming up in our next winners bracket match, which will be in about 50 minutes.
Oh, I don't know if you caught that. Doug Kent catching a very fortunate hit. Looks like Ron Moore is going to send our top overall qualifier, Eugene McCune, to the elimination bracket. Over on 13 and 14, that match just about wrapped up. Looks like Doug Kent kind of in the driver's seat right now against Blaine Winninger. about 20 and change. Subbing up in frame number 9, so Doug can keep the pressure on here with a strike in the 9th. Take advantage of that break. Another ball change there for Missoula, and the pins give, and they take. Kent catches the break on 16 and then goes high flush for the 7 pin. The upper deck 7.
We didn't have an upper deck reference all day yesterday. I was so disappointed in even Aaron Smith. But now we're back on track here. And Norm Duke looking to get back on track as well, leading by 61 coming into game 3. And able to double up. And these guys are just about even here.
Let's see, run more split in 9th frame, but I don't, maybe, let's see. Still gonna be, let's see, carry the 2, add 16. Still gonna just need count here, it appears, to lock up that win. So Wenninger gets the strike. This one is close. Once again, you can watch it live on 15 and 16, the final frame. Doug Kent can max out. He can add 50 to his total. That would put him at 732. Blaine gets the strike in the 9th. He can add 60 to get to 734. So Wenninger is going to step up in the 10th frame with a chance to go double 9. And lock out Doug Kent. And Leo's going to shoot 760 here if he punches out. Wenninger gets the first hit in the 10th.
All right. So Aaron, for Mark Missoula, I mentioned earlier that he's had some success here. He made it this far last year as well. Lost in this round to Bob Learn Jr. and then went on to lose his next match. And so it was a good start and then 2 quick losses, but to finish tied for 13th. Not too shabby at the Senior Masters, and now fighting again here in 2019.
So Amuletto's going to try a different bowling ball here. Even though the win is well in place, a good move to once again see what something else is doing.
I'll say the next round is going to be on the burn, so it's I mean, we're going to essentially start where we're finishing now.
Wenninger, that looked pretty good from here. Now we'll just need 9, if my math is correct, to shut out Doug Kent. And Amuletto could kick the ball down right now. I'd probably strike. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's how locked in he is at the moment. Pete McCordick with a big 757 to 728 victory over Rick Minier. That was an elimination bracket match. Looks like Ray Vervink is putting the pressure on Torrey Torgerson.
International battle.
Let's see. If Vervink strikes out, he gets to 656, and he got the double. So count really not so important on his final shot, and 9's going to be enough. Should be enough. 733. I don't think Blaine knew the. He had no idea what the score was. He had no clue. He just doubled and got 9 to shut out Doug Kent there, which is quite comical in its own way. Vervink finishes with 247 to get to 656. So Torgerson will need the double in the 10th.
Aaron, I guess that's just a pretty logical and basic strategy. Just get up there every time, try to knock them all down, and at the end, somebody will either congratulate you or wish you luck in your next event.
Looks like Torrey got the first strike. $760 to $648. And Leto moves on to the next round. Mark Williams will head to the elimination bracket next. Just a matter of final score here on 21 and 22. There's a double. Torgerson walking it out, slapping it out. We'll just need 5 pins to collect the W now. Let's see what we got going on over here. 39 and 40. Parker Bone the third is going to be in the 670s. If he gets the final strike, 674. Joe Goldstein would just need Mark with good count to eliminate the USBC and PBA Hall of Famer 661, 656. Torrey Torgerson moves on to the next round. 733 to 719, the official final tally. Blaine and Doug. So 673, so Joe Goldstein once again. Mark and good count. Parker shoots 257 that game. And based off of ambient noise and the walk-off, it looked like the strike was secured by Joe Goldstein. Ryan Schaefer is going to eliminate Ricky Schisler in the, or actually I should probably double check this because both have RS initials. Yes, Schaefer. Going to claim the win. I don't think Joe needed the double, but people cheering like he did down there. He's going to add another Hall of Famer to his to the win column over the course of his past few appearances here at the Senior Masters. On his way to a 6th place finish in 2017, defeated Walter Ray and Brian Voss in back-to-back rounds.
We're definitely seeing a different Joe Goldstein than we saw that year. I mentioned earlier, kind of needing that first opportunity to prove yourself and prove to yourself. And his run certainly proved that, and just a different confidence coming in this year and last year even.
So it looks like just nothing to the left of us. There's Norm moving in a little bit and again, trying to now collect information for his next matchup. Who will we be seeing next, Matthew? Looks like it'll be Lenny Borsch and Ron Moore here on 19 and 20. That should be a good one. I like the sound of that matchup. And then on 21 and 22, Amleto making the short walk. He will take on Rolando Sebelin, who got the easiest win of the round as Mike Edwards forfeited the match. Other winners of bracket matches. Tony Johnson will take on Norm Duke on 15 and 16. Blaine Weninger did not see the end of this match, but Stony Baker had the early control. We'll be on 25 and 6, and that will be the entire winners bracket will be available here on BowlTV.com. .648. Final tally here. Going to be enough for Norm to advance. For Mark, he's going to have to kind of think about it and focus on the positives here at the end of this block and try to quickly forget about some spare shooting woes, which, if you add it up right now, definitely gave away 44 pins just in spares, but gotta take it for what it is. Right now, a 648-604 victory for Norm Duke moves him one round closer to returning to the stepladder finals.
All right, so now 8 players remain in our winners bracket. And we've said goodbye to 8 from the elimination bracket, down to 24 total. And our next round of matches will be coming up here in the next 20 minutes or so here at the Samstown Bowling Center.
Just one match ongoing at the moment, I believe, and that's Doug Kempt and Bob Rosenau over on 37-38, and screen won't reload, so have to patiently wait on that for right now. Once again, another round of winners bracket matches here on BowlTV.com. So at the moment, it looks max score for Doug Kempt is 598. Bob Rosenau, chance to shoot 279 this game, is going to get the job done, collect another victory. A few questions in the chat for Luke. I believe that was Stony Baker with the win to move on to the next round and face Blaine Wenninger. Michael, in the comments above, we do have a few notes about Mike Edwards. Essentially started his match against Rolando, but did not feel well enough to continue the match, so he forfeited. He has the option to come back for the elimination bracket, but we are not sure if he's going to feel well enough in time, since it is the quick turnaround. So we will have to wait and see. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break here as we wait for the next round to start up. Once again, going to be about 20 minutes after that match over on 37 and 38 finishes up. But we'll keep the cameras running, so if you guys are not taking a break like Matt and I will, go over and join Emil Williams Jr. over at the PWBA Tucson Open, the round of 32 ongoing at the moment. We have 8 channels live at the moment. You can pick and choose from those from the bottom of your screen, and of course, don't forget all the other great content here on the new Bowl TV. Our other channels, the Lab, the Vault, Backstage, as well as all of our archived events available at your disposal. So feel free to check them out. But Matt and I will be back here at the 2019 USBC Senior Masters very, very soon.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Our next round of matches here at the 2019 USBC Senior Masters. My name is Matt Canizaro here with Aaron Smith. Right now on our featured pairs winners bracket matches. 8 players left undefeated in the winners bracket. To our left at 19 and 20, Ron Moore and Lenny Boris Jr. And to our right, Little Monticelli and Rolando Sebelin. We saw Amleto in our last round here, taking down Mark Williams. And Sebelin getting a free pass as Mike Edwards falls ill. And unable to compete, so Sebelin advances. Edwards goes to the elimination bracket. Not sure if he's back on the lanes this round or not. Ron Moore advancing with a win over Eugene McCune, our top overall qualifier. Again, McCune now going to the elimination bracket. Boris taking down Tom Adcock to get down to the final 8. These guys are bowling 3-game total pinfall matches. We started with 64 players, and that included our defending champion, Chris Warren. Warren lost his first 2 matches and exited the double elimination bracket. We're now down to the final 24 competitors here in Las Vegas. So that's 8 in the winner's bracket, 16 in the elimination bracket. We'll lose 8 more here after this round. Competition will continue throughout the day until we have 5 remaining players. And they'll advance to tomorrow's stepladder. And from these 8 winners, obviously 4 will remain undefeated after this round. 2 of those 4 will be guaranteed spots in the stepladder. They'll bowl for the number 1 seed coming up here in just a couple of rounds. The other winners bracket matches, we have Blaine Weninger and Stoney Baker off to our right. Then Norm Duke and Tony Johnson nearby as well. And notable names still alive in the elimination bracket: Pete McCordick, Doug Kent, I've already mentioned Eugene McCune, Ryan Schaefer, Walter Ray Williams Jr. taking on Mark Williams this round. So some very familiar names on both sides of the bracket. And we'll be here to continue our wire-to-wire coverage from Samstown. Again, 3-game total pinfall matches. Right now, Amleto Monticelli out to an early advantage over Sebelin. And Ron Moore looking to double up, and he does, to pull ahead of Lenny Boris here early in game 1. And Aaron Smith is back. He is the tech-savvy guy running the show here. We have Live stream cameras everywhere, showing a variety of matches, and he'll give you a rundown of what else we're seeing and how you can see it here on Bull TV.
Whoa, that's a lot of responsibility there, Matt. Our other matches, technically we have all winners bracket matches being shown right now, so obviously we're on our featured lanes. We can hear the sweet sounds of Matt Cannizzaro and myself, mostly Matt Cannizzaro though. But by scrolling through the list of channels at the bottom below the video, you can find Senior Masters 15 through 18, which features Norm Duke against Tony Johnson, and Senior Masters 23 through 26, which features Stoney Baker and Blaine Weninger. Our elimination bracket matches currently not being featured because we only have so much equipment here at the moment, but you can follow all those on live scoring if you want to keep an eye on your favorite competitors. We just dropped the link actually in the chat. Comment or two up from the bottom. Looks like the last comment is from Michael cheering on Lenny. It's a good choice. Lenny's been pretty tough so far this tournament. He's been striking a bunch in match play. But bowl.com/Senior Masters is the place to be for all that information, the roster, oil pattern, results, bracket, live scoring. We got all of it there. And in addition to that, we also have a quick link to that. If you're in the chat, you can find the tournament information tab up at the top. If you click on that, that'll take you right to that page on bowl.com. And it does appear Amleto has started off with that ball. He ended up making the change to late, very late in his victory over Mark Williams. So as you talked about in that opening match, always thinking ahead to what that next move may be. Always want to be a frame or two ahead of the transition, because that's 2 or 3 frames you're potentially ahead of your opponent right there, making that move. So, and let it go into something that appears to be a little cleaner through the front part of the lane. It still gives him the opportunity to bank it off a spot. Make its move towards the 1-3. Oh, oh, oh. Just mean. That 9-pin. Oh, oh, my goodness. That was 6 or 7 extra push-ups right there.
Huh.
That's what it was. That is the definition of a barn burner on 15 and 16 right now. And Norm Duke, after 9 sparing his way to victory against Mark Missoula, has started off with the front 7. However, Tony Johnson not intimidated by Norm's cute start. Has started with 6 in a row of his own. Wow. Rolando kicking pins around. Do any other pairs have as much excitement as the Duke Johnson match? It's 7 for 7 from each. Yowza. And it does appear that that Mike Edwards has not come back, so he is taking another forfeit. So Don Harrington is going to get the free pass to the next round. He does have to bowl all 3 games, however. Someone named Williams is going to win on 43 and 44 as Mark and Walter Ray battle, and that is a big time miscue there from Rolando, working on a few strikes in a row. Now 8 for 8. Once again, you can watch the Norm Duke Tony Johnson match right now on the Senior Masters 15 through 18 channel, and we may have to go watch it ourselves a little bit closer. Duke stepping up. Ron Moore likes striking as well. And wow, this is yeah. And Leto comes in a little bit light there and crumbles a few out, makes it much easier on himself. The 5-pin left standing from the bucket crumbler. So Norm Duke. Stepping up for number 9 as Ron Moore was looking for 7 in a row after the spare in the first. So Norm got number 9. Tony Johnson is stepping up for his 9th frame momentarily. Neither player has missed yet. I think Norm already a much bigger fan of 15 and 16 than he was of 21 and 22. But I think Tony is up on the approach right now. This is and comes in light, unable to, it was a 7-10 for a second. But leaves just the 10, so opportunity for 279 still for Tony, but 279 may mean he's down by 21. So the dueling 300s down to just 1. But Norm Duke will step up in the 10th frame for a chance to shoot 300.
What we've learned in all of our time here is that people like 300s. And people like Norm Duke. So if Norm Duke shoots 300,
be a popular video.
People are going to go crazy. Norm Duke, of course, trying to make his way back to the championship round for some redemption after last year's runner-up finish.
Oh, we saw Ron get that hit on 19, and Lenny does not. And right now, Lenny just a pair of doubles so far compared to that big 6-backer from Ron, so that would have been a big hit.
Pair of doubles generally would be pretty good, especially if they're right next to each other, but in Lenny's case, not true.
Matt, I'm going to go over to 15 and 16, go party with Norm and Tony.
All right. Best of luck to you and Mr. Duke as well. For those of you just dropping in, if you missed it, high scoring match over on 15 and 16 here in our winners bracket. Norm Duke and Tony Johnson. Both players had the front 8. Norm Duke got the 9th one. Johnson did not. Johnson finishes with 279. And Duke now will step up in his final frame. Looking for a chance at the 10th 300 of this week's event. A lot of games bowled. 300 players bowled 15 games of qualifying. Then the field was cut to the top 63, plus our defending champion, Chris Warren. And we've had about a day and a half of 3-game matches so far. As Seblin flirts with the gutter once again there on lane 21. Makes it back, leaves the 210. Perhaps going in the gutter would have been a better option based on that result. He finds himself down 27 pins to Amleto and in much need of a split conversion. Ron Moore cruising. Gets the 10 to go late. He can get to 269. Best Lenny Boers can do 227. Now, Aaron Smith for the highlights. Norm Duke gets the messenger on the 10. Don't want to ruin the surprise for you. You potentially can even see it on the left side of your screen. Norm Duke bowling his final frame on lane 16. Just to our left. He now is 10 for 10. Johnson finished with 279. So how about that? This guy's not messing around.
Thank you.
And Leto, after the hot start, he had the front 5. Consecutive 9 counts since. Norm Duke connects for number 11. So we saw him go about 8 frames in our opening match on the fresh. 9 spares all the way through. And then was able to pull ahead of Missoula. Come away with the victory. Duke, final shot on the lane, and 300. Hall of Famer. Norm Duke getting some momentum with the 300. Big moment, but as somebody behind us just said, he's only 21 pins ahead, so can't let the excitement, and I'm sure at his caliber and his experience, maybe a little bit of a heart flutter to shoot 300 on the big stage, but can't let that get to him. He needs to build on that 21 pin lead. Some big scores down to Tom Adcock and Tori Torgerson. Tori 268, Adcock 255. Of course, Duke and Johnson 300, 279. Ron Moore here in our featured pair, 269. And Leto with some trouble in the 10th, gives it a run. He'll be in the 220s, so a chance here for Seblin to double up and make up some pins. Opening game to our right. In our winner's bracket, Winninger will find himself down to Stony Baker after 1. Not by much. Again, if you want to follow the scores across the house here, 56 lanes at Samstown. Obviously not all being used because we are down to just 24 players. But 12 matches going on across the center. Just go to bowl.com/senior masters. You can see all the results, check out the bracket, and find a link to the live scoring. So here on 1920, Ron Moore 269, Lenny Boers 217. And now the final shots coming up on 21 and 22. Amleto with the open in the 10th, 221. And Seblin can get to 208. Make that 198 now. Seblin from the Dominican Republic. He's a bowling center proprietor. Got to spend some time at Seblin Bowling Center for the PABCON Women's Championships last fall. We'll be back there this summer for the PABCON Youth Championship, so looking forward to that. Great host. But right now, assembling all business on the lanes here in Las Vegas. And Little Monticelli, representing Venezuela, will go into game 2 with a 23-pin lead. There's some good international representation. Still Torgerson from Norway. We had players from all around the world competing this week at the Senior Masters. Duke and Johnson not wasting any time in game 2. Duke starts with a double. Johnson matches. Both players 2 for 2 after going 300, 279 in game number 1. Again, this is on the burn. The 40-foot pattern was fresh for our first round. And now, as we learned yesterday, who you follow, of course, could dictate the scoring pace for the next round. Sometimes that means big numbers, sometimes it means not so much, but obviously for Duke and Johnson, they liked what they saw when they got there, and the strikes continuing to pile up. And so Aaron has his own entrance music. What you heard there was him returning to the booth here. He's got some highlights to share from the Norm Duke 300 and perhaps some more insight from that high-scoring match. Again, both players starting game 2 with now 3 consecutive strikes. Duke has 4.
Well, Matt, both players really like the pair. Del Ballard tried to stop me from going down, and because he knew I was on my way. And I said, Del, I got this. I got this. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you gotta let me fly, Del. Let me spread my wings here.
I think he just doesn't want you to jinx his players is the number one thing. Bringing your bad luck mojo down there to the settee.
See, the thing is, though, when it's not his players, then he doesn't care. So
he invites you over.
But
He just wants you to come hang out and just bring your bad luck.
But we will have that video posted momentarily here. Some excitement. Norm nearly went down the lane with the first one, as Daniel Farish and I talked about a few days ago that had the opportunity to, at one of the local centers, there was a game used Norm Duke ball from an event from wherever it may be in Louisville, whichever center it was. And he said we went to go, test out the span. Noticed that not a lot of bevel. So for Norm, that's the way he doesn't squeeze the ball. So if there's any squeeze, it's not going to leave.
Yeah, straight off the press, sharp edges for Mr. Duke, well known for that. And as he tomahawks another 10-pin, he is not messing around. So his 9 spare flurries in game number 1 earlier today He calmly was just warming up. And now untouchable.
Poor Tony Johnson has 2 9 spares and unfortunately is getting or is unfortunately facing a 50 pin deficit nearly.
And Leto, the first to falter here in game 2 on 21 and 22. Where he led by 23 coming into our second game of 3. Seblin still perfect through 4. Really the difference last game was a gutter ball on a string for Rolando, and then flirted with the gutter in the final frames, left the 210. Ron Moore, 269 in the opener. Now a spare 4-bagger for a chance to pick up some more pins here. Lenny Boris hanging close as Amleto flirts with the ditch. Lucky to leave just the 2.
All right, what'd I miss?
Big scores across the house. These guys figuring things out, getting comfortable. We're on the burn right now. So this is when we would expect to see the bigger numbers.
And as I finish posting the first Norm Duke 300 video to social media, he now has the front 8.
So Norm Duke has bowled 3 perfect games consecutively. In the past, I believe it was over multiple blocks, but still pretty awesome nonetheless. And hope your phone's charged.
It's charging right now.
So, we've seen Norm put up some big numbers here over the years. The string ends at 4 for Seblin over on 22.
Should we just trade off every game? Who gets the Norm Duke 300? Or should I try and make it 2 for 2?
I think we need to ask Dell.
That's true. I'm his lucky charm at the moment.
I'm going to guess 100% he's going to pick you. He'll say something uplifting about me being a Dark Cloud or New Lucas or something. All in good fun, of course.
I will say in a very quick story, earlier at the Super Senior Classic when Hugh Miller started with the front 10 and went down to video the 11th, the first person to congratulate me after Hugh left at Big Four was Dell. And so when we got the first 300 here this week, the first person to come up to me was Dell, except he was asking me to send him the video.
Oh,
So.
of course.
So Norm is going to be stepping up here in the 9th frame. Tony is still bowling well, just he's run into literally the most dominating performance you can see at the moment in general history and math and all that good stuff. Oh, goodness, 9. All right, Matt.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Aaron Smith. Running off to watch the Norm Duke show in person. Norm Duke is 21 for 21. Here in our second round of matches today. This time he'll be on lane 15. So a little bit harder to see from here. Not wasting time, stepping up for the 10th one, the live scoring. About a minute delay. But you can tell by the sound of the crowd that he has delivered, and that one sounded dramatic as it took a minute for the roar. So Duke 10 for 10 here in game 2. And 22 in a row for the Hall of Famer. Tony Johnson still bowling well. But spares aren't going to cut it against Duke right now. Best Tony can do is 228 here after the 279 start. So he'll be 500 plus with 3 in the 10th. And potentially down almost 100 pins. Duke mixes them up, strikes again for the 11th one. So now, one shot away from back-to-back 300s here. Down yonder, Walter Ray Williams Jr. is at 522 after 2. He'll be leading by over 100 on Mark Williams. Tom Adcock, 503. Torrey Torgerson will be close behind Duke. Once again, 300. 24 consecutive strikes for Mr. Duke. The 4 winners this round. Will bowl again, obviously this afternoon, and 2 of the 4 winners will be guaranteed spots in the stepladder. Right, so something we haven't seen. Fireworks. Norm Duke, 24 for 24 here. 600.
That was a smart picture opportunity right there, Matt.
So it's been a long time since we've seen one of those in person.
And our tournament director, Damon Sirocco, just came by to remind us of the fact that Norm has rolled 3 consecutive games like that before. They were not in the same block, though. It was to the final 2 of one and the first of another.
How about that? Sounds familiar. Where have I heard that?
Did you just say it on Bold TV?
I said it, yeah, right before,
Okay.
right before you left, as a matter of fact.
I know we talked about it, but
But Damon has been around for a long, long time, believe it or not. In various capacities in the bowling industry, from working at the PBA to working as a district sales manager for Ebonite. And, he knows many of these players very well and their histories, and Damon is a wealth of knowledge and mentorship here. And now Norm Duke, big moment. Will step up, leads by 122 pins.
holy cow,
Tony Johnson at 497. Aaron's freaking out. He's starstruck.
I'm a little.
Fangirling a little bit here. Here's Norm Duke to stay perfect. Slaps the 10. And of course, more things to talk about, but a little bit early at this point.
You don't think so?
Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow.
Norm Duke sipping his coffee, just relaxing. Like, oh, no problem. I just threw 25 strikes in a row at a major event. Well, he just did a deep breath, though. So
He is breathing. Oh, wait, my bad.
he is breathing. That's a good start.
All right. Matt, I'm going to break our social media post rule of not posting things 10 minutes apart from each other.
And then you have to, of course, write. No, I didn't post this twice by accident. This is a different 300.
This is not a drill or a replay, but it kind of is. By the way, I don't know from your vantage point if you saw Norm's move when he kicked out the first shot in the 10th.
Could not see anything but the pins this time around.
I was legitimately, like, if I was 2 feet closer, he would have, like, karate chopped me in half. That's how cool it was. Awesome. It's a very violent move. But holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow. Is there bowling going on other matches right now?
There's
There
some
is.
great scores, actually. Walter Ray was 522 after 2, so he's still continuing his charge. Here comes Dell.
Oh,
Dell's waiting for the video.
the second one. Sorry, Del.
Just copy and paste the first one. It was the same. He got all of them.
Hope I sent him the right one. Let's see. All right, 2 for 2.
Aaron Smith furiously typing here. Trying to stay ahead of the next moment of excitement. Tony Johnson bowling great. Not much he can do at this point. Norm Duke 3 for 3. 27 consecutive strikes.
Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow. Wouldn't this be an inopportune time for folks if you didn't check social media in the past 20 minutes to know this and to come back and realize you haven't got your Bowl TV subscription yet?
Walter Ray continuing to strike down on 43 and 4 against his no relation opponent, Mark Williams.
Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow. All right. Second 300 being posted as we speak. And another one. This is absurd.
And, where's our cameras down there? Are they on that pair?
They are on that pair. You can watch this live.
Okay, that's very important. So, Norm Duke, 28 consecutive strikes, and you can watch that here on Bowl TV. You won't be able to hear our expert commentary, but you can watch it all happen.
Technically, we could be yelling that loudly by then that you would hear it.
Not over the crowd. Norm Duke has the crowd on his side.
It would be something if Walter Ray struck out and shot 820 and it was not even remotely newsworthy other than the fact that he won.
He's still alive at the Senior Masters. Like, how do you even promote this type of moment? I mean, your social post of the 300s. Tune in now. Watch Norm Duke. And at some point, somebody's going to have to say the magic words.
I've got jitters and I'm over here just typing about it. This is, and on the pair just to the left of them, Torrey Torgerson and Tom Adcock, they hit Torrey with the front six and Tom just missed for the first time. This is on the bright side, they're bowling so quickly with all the strikes that we'll be able to recap the rest of the round in record fashion. Good news for Tony Johnson, this is the winner's bracket. So even though he is bowling incredibly well, it is not looking good for him, to say the least. Duke now up again.
You think he wants to be slowing this thing down? He wants to probably get out of the way. He knows he's not going to win this match. He wants to sit back and enjoy Norm Duke's show.
Uh-oh. And
Norm Duke, the 3-6-10. That one went high. So after 75 strikes in a row, Norm Duke with the 7 count.
all right,
I mean, 870 is still good, right?
it's okay. So the front 5.
29 in a row.
Good news is
And we can catch that now here in the delay just to kind of see how it looks. As Ron Moore gets a nice break there. He's in control here with the game to go against Lenny Boris.
Walter Ray still striking.
Right, Walter Ray wants to get his name in the paper as well. So we're about 10 seconds too late on the Norm Duke.
Correct, yes.
But we had our pins right. 3-6-10.
We did, which is half the battle sometimes. So Norm did come back with a strike afterwards. 870. It was funny. I stepped in the tournament office for a moment to put together the first video, and Damon asked, "Should I just take the honor score form out there now? You think I'll have to write down the other scores and we'll get to 800?" I'm like, well, yeah, I'd probably wait till the end. It's a good call. All right. Rolando. Great shot. Walter Ray even has a miss to get to 800 here, but had a 299 yesterday. I suppose we should go down there.
What? Do I have to go down because it's on the right side, right?
Technically,
By the laws of live stream?
It does fall in your jurisdiction. Absolutely nuts. Walter Ray did leave a 9 count in the 8th frame, so 801 now his max score. So it would be a strikeout scenario over on lanes 43 and 44.
I know you threw that in there because it's really far away and I should start walking.
It may have been a subtle hint.
I know how you get. I know the Aaron Smith anxiety. We've been doing this long enough. And eventually, if I sit here and pretend like I'm not going to go, you're going to get antsy and you're just going to jump up and run for it.
This is factual.
Question is, where is that number? Because regardless, Mark Williams will have to bowl out anyway.
That is true. That is your saving grace here at the moment. Also, Bob Rosenau has front 7 over on 31 and 32 against Michael Clausen. All right. Norm's going to step up in the 10th frame with a chance to shoot a measly 877 now. I think I have to go over there to check that out too. I feel that was.
It's pretty big news. So
equally newsworthy.
If we both leave.
Well, luckily we have plenty of frames in front of us to fill that time, so folks don't get too lonely. They can spend it with Lenny Borsch and Ron Moore and Amleto Monticelli and Rolando Sebelin. Tony Johnson is shooting 280 this game, by the way. He is going to have, I don't quite remember what he was making the turn at, just because I was only focused on one number at that time, but
that's rude.
He's going to shoot 770 and lose by 500. Oh my goodness.
I'm going to go now.
All right, let's, Walter Ray's going to have a chance, and Mark Williams has a split, so bye, Matt. We're going to step away momentarily to get the 10th frame of Norm Duke here. Looking to finish off 877 against Tony Johnson in the winner's bracket over on 15 and 16. Once again, you can watch the finale live by switching to the channels at the bottom of the screen below the video. All right, folks, we are back here after what can only be described as a once-in-a-lifetime type performance to see in person. Norm Duke starts at the front 29 on the way to a 863 to 765 victory over Tony Johnson to just move on to the next round at the in the winners bracket at the 2019 USBC Senior Masters. Two other winners bracket matches ongoing at the moment. Right in front of us here, getting down to the 10th frame. And Leto can get to 702. There's 120 pins left out there for Rolando, which will get him to 708. So he will have to match Amleto here shot for shot. Ron Moore has collected the victory here. He'll be moving on to the round of 4, and I believe he will not be the lucky one to face Norm Duke next. That'll be the winner of Amleto and Rolando. There's the double. Rolando will have to match. Looks like a Bob Rosenau shot 300 his final game. I'm not sure if Walter got to 801 him. More than anything else, still absolutely stunned at the performance we're fortunate enough to witness here. The last 4 for Amleto. That's all you can do in that situation. Force your opponent. Have to step up and strike. Nice 738 for Ron Moore. He will be taking on the winner of Stony Baker and Blaine Wenninger. Uh-oh, and that is, wait. The 2 pin's not going to make it, so Amleto is going to take the win here on 21 and 22. Those, I want to say all the Norm videos should be posted to social media, the Sport of Bowling USBC, and at USBC on Twitter, hopefully by now. We did get his final frame, so we do show him actually not striking, which is pretty incredible. He left the 4-7-10 on his second shot of the 10th after tripping the 2 pin out. $863 to $765. Gotta give a major shout out to Tony Johnson and for putting back a great performance, and he'll be alive in the next round. It's part of the elimination bracket, but 702-687 our final score, and Leto Monticelli makes it to the top 4. So we are we're at a point in the telecast where we're going to take a quick break. A flurry of strikes from Norm Duke stole the show, but there's plenty more to see. Available on bowl.com/Senior Masters.
Out there, a couple of perfect games. Congratulations to Norm, 863. Congratulations, Norm Duke. We will update our bracket board. The next round will begin at 12:30.
So, tournament director Damon Sirocco giving the announcements there. Not sure how well you guys can hear it. through on the broadcast, but the next round will be taking place at 12:30 local time, so that'll be 3:30 p.m. Eastern as we get closer and closer to determining our top 5 for tomorrow's stepladder final, which will be taking place here at Samstown at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Right now, they're going to re-oil. Ron Moore joking he liked 19 and 20 a little bit more than 21 and 22 after squeaking by with a 5:55 victory over James Campbell on 21 and 22. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to re-oil, and we are going to try to comprehend what we just saw in preparation for continued action here. But we'll be back 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 local time here in Las Vegas at Samstown. Let's see, is Emil still streaming? They are still streaming in Tucson, so feel free to stop by there during the break, grab some lunch, party on. But for Matt Cannizzaro, I'm Aaron Smith. We will be back here on BullTV.com for continued coverage of the 2019 USBC Senior Masters in about 50 minutes. We'll see you soon.